Hello, everyone. My name is Nick Infernus, and welcome back to another comic book review. So let's finally get back to New Orleans with Cloak and Dagger Season 2. Now, one thing that I've never actually gone into on this channel is actually a philosophy I have regarding sequels. Whenever a sequel comes out, my hope is, of course, that it'll be fun and enjoyable, but it's always a nice little cherry on top of the sundae when it improves upon earlier projects. Like one of my favorite examples of this is the How to Train Your Dragon movies and how the second one took all the issues that the first one had and improved upon it. And even in the world of Marvel, we've had stuff like the Iron Fist show where season 1 is, well, not good. That's sugarcoating it. It's actually pretty bad. But season 2, I'm finding this is actually kind of an unpopular opinion. I love that season and will defend it for as long as I can. So, does this season live up to that philosophy? Well, this might come as a surprise considering that someone in that poll voted for this to be bottom tier, but yeah, it does. Which, to be fair, there wasn't really a lot to improve on in the first place. I gave the first season, like a 3 out of 5? This definitely did better than that one. So, what did I like about this one? Well, if you'll recall from that other review, I said that the main big positive thing about this season, because that's an English sentence, but my favorite thing about that season, and really the biggest good thing I had to say about it, or the best thing I had to say about it, was the relationship between Tandy Bowen and Tyrone Johnson. In this season, it's almost as if they realized, this was the best executed part of that first season. Let's do more of it. Yeah, there's more of Tandy, more of Ty, more of them working together, and really a better look at the friendship they have, where, of course, they care about one another, where they both have their own issues that they try to help the other person solve. But they're also not afraid to call the other person out and confront them when they do something that the other might not agree with. And especially towards the end, like especially in the finale, where a lot of the final battle is just them building each other up. This is the kind of friendship that I want to see, that I'd love to see more of in media. Just two people who don't have a perfect relationship by any means, but they're close enough to the point where they're able to overcome that and remain extremely close. And I think the way that the finale ends with the, I don't know if I'd call it the mid-credit scene because it still takes place before the credits, but because, just for the sake of it, we'll call it the mid-credit scene. The way that that scene plays out, I think sets them up perfectly to appear in the third season of Runaways, which they do appear in near the end, and I'm really looking forward to that episode. I also like the villains here as well. Of course, they introduce Mayhem and how the whole duplicate doppelganger thing works. I feel like Mayhem is a good showing of what happens when justice can go too far. Like, of course, something bad happens. You want justice for the person, or you want the perpetrator to face justice. But the way Mayhem handles things, she goes very far with it to the point where she's not above killing the people who deserve that justice. Even killing the man who helped Officer Connors cover up Billy's murder from, I think it was at least 8 or 9 years prior at that point, by slitting his throat with her nails, which is probably the scariest way I've ever seen someone kill another person. And she has really good chemistry with, Bridget O'Reilly, who she's a doppelganger of. They're both played by Andrea Roth, and I bring that up for something that we'll get to later. But I also really liked Andre, not because of what he was doing. Of course not. No, what he was doing was incredibly gross and disturbing. But more just his motivation. He's another villain where he absolutely needs to be stopped, and you want to see Tandy and Ty take him down. That was some nice alliteration there. But you understand why he's doing what he's doing. He wants to reach that blue note and become a god. Because when you're a god, you're immortal, you can't feel pain, and he wants to get rid of the pain, he wants to get rid of the migraines. What he's doing is incredibly gross, and I don't condone it, nor do I agree with it, but I understand it. And that's generally what, these filmmakers and showrunners are going for when they write these villains. And I really liked how he played into the whole lore of the Loa dimension and how they use these vinyl records, which is very antiquated music technology by today's standards, but they use it to bring up painful memories that people might not want to remember. And they use them to remove any sense of hope that the victims might have. And that's a big theme in this season is, hope and not losing it, especially since, that's what Tandy can see. She can see people's hopes. So far, the season's doing really well, but there is something that I'm not the biggest fan of. As much as I like Mayhem, I can't exactly say that I'm a big fan of the way she's handled. Which, this is a very minor thing, but it is something that was kind of weird to me. Around the middle of the season, they kind of just trap her in the Loa dimension, and then we don't see her until right before the last third of the show. And even when they bring her out of the Loa dimension, of course, Tandy and Bridget go in to get Ty. Bridget finds Mayhem there, and then they bring her out. The conversation that the two of them have, it's kind of unclear whether Bridget got pulled out or Mayhem got pulled out or it was a combination of the two. I know that might sound confusing, and that's because it is. Because with the episodes that follow, it's implied by, Dr. Hess that it is a mixture of the two, but that mixture acts a lot more like Mayhem than Bridget. So I really don't know what was going on with that. But in general, it's a very minor blemish on this overall fantastic season. This is definitely one of those things where my philosophy of sequels, where they should definitely, improve upon the original, it definitely holds water here because while the original got a 3.5, this is just getting a 5. Honestly, I wasn't expecting to love this season as much as I do, but I do. I felt like the story was very compelling. The friendship is just as strong, if not stronger. And even if one of the villains wasn't handled the best, I still feel like this had much better villains than what we got in the first season. So combining the two scores gives the show an overall rating of a 4.25. Yeah, I know it's weird when I give half ratings, but this is kind of a strange one. I think this might have actually been rounded up, but yeah. Well, no, I was considering rounding it up because it wouldn't fit. I had to change the font size. But yeah, that's gonna be it for Cloak and Dagger for right now. Honestly, I wasn't expecting it to be one of my favorite Marvel shows, but it is. I just enjoyed it that much. But anyways, if you enjoyed this video, you know what to do. I'm not going to bore you with all that generic stuff. I'll see you all in the next video. Take care, and Godspeed.